Hello and welcome to the Pre-Chiro Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Glass, and today we're making a professional chiropractor connection out in Georgia with Dr. Wade Port. Wade, let us know how you're doing, my friend. Can you kind of just give us a check-in? How's this week been? Chiropractor in practice, serving the people?
Yeah, Ben, thanks for having me. And I think second time on here with you and your program, and grateful to be here. I'm just lit up on purpose and passion. We just got back from Paris, France, where MLS Seminars was putting on an event out there, and I'm really still just my cup is still overflowing with the Europeans and how welcoming they were to me and to bring the work of Arnaud Bernier forth. And the training was so deep, Ben, and the feedback is has been equally as deep and meaningful that I've gotten. So from the feedback that these people that came to the program of what's happening in their practices, what's happening in their lives, and it's always deeply rewarding, just like every day in practice has that opportunity to be. But this one feels different, special. Not only is Paris the birthplace and old hometown of Arnaud Bernier, so a full circle experience with that. And just coming back, I'm so focused on sharing it with more chiropractors, but certainly with the community and the public. And really, I'm attracting a lot of people. They're just ready, and they've got a lot of stuff. I'm attracting what I would call like high flyers, like, but the consciousness and their physiological experience of their body are so mismatched that it's causing deep pain and suffering. And so we're leaning into it as we always have, but it seems like on a deeper level. So it's deep right now, man.
I love it. I love it. On the depth, a lot of the times I've personally recently been experiencing the consciousness of students in the adjusting class that I am facilitating in a chiropractic school out here in California, and the depth is not always there. And I think that's my role, or that's the role that I've taken, as trying to just help people deepen their awareness, deepen their connection to the art and to the practice. So can you just give us a nice little introduction to what it is that is attracting people to come and play in MLS seminars, and how you're really, I guess, contextualizing the experience of attending an MLS seminar, and just what MLS represents today?
Got it. Well, we are attracting people more. And so it's really synonymous with practice, with the people I'm attracting into my practice, because it is who I am. It's in my field. It's really who we're attracting to the programs now. And for the people who, I was having a conversation earlier, and it for the DCs who have been in practice a while, who may have gotten caught up in a therapeutic model, who now have been wrestling with the burnout of having a job of fixing people and therapeuticizing their symptoms. And man, that really loses its luster very fast. And so I think a lot of those docs are being attracted to MLS because they know that they fell in love with chiropractic, they fell in love with the principle, and somewhere, where did that fire go? Where did the purpose go with this? Because now I'm faced with people that I've taught to bitch and moan to me all day long. I've taught them that that's what I'm here for, and that I will help you feel better. And man, that's a grind. And so I've said it many times, but to really commit to being a developing mastery with the art of chiropractic and the adjusting, you have to develop personal self mastery first. And from the outside looking in, a lot of people can see that as like, oh man, that's a lot of work. And I just don't know if I'm up for that, if I can do that. I'm seeing, Billy Joe and Bobby Sue over there doing it, and they are having these like really deep cathartic experiences, and it looks like they're really going stuff. And that just seems like too much work. And I'm here to tell you that's the easy road. that's the easy road to commit your life and to answer the calling. And then, in order to have integrity, authenticity, and congruency with your calling, your life, your thoughts, words, and actions, and to break a lineage of domestication and indoctrination and programming, yes, that takes effort. But I tell you, that's the easy road, because the alternative is to ignore the calling, is to ignore your highest and truest self, which wants to prevail, which wants to come forth. To me, feels like hell to ignore it. So I want to just put that out there, that I really feel that committing yourself, and it doesn't mean that anytime ever you'll be ready. It doesn't mean that anytime you'll arrive. There's no destination on the path of mastery. It's not the path to mastery, it's the path of mastery. And man, it's so worth it. And because I'm going to be intense, I'm going to be deep, I'm going to be raw, and I'm going to attract people that I'm going to walk through the fire with. But man, it's joy, it's love and joy. And it doesn't look like, I don't know, I want to say like Mickey Mouse joy, like it's all rainbows and unicorns and fairies. It's a joy that is birthed from that deep, intimate connection, which often is facilitated with a deep vulnerability and willingness. I say, to know, I must be known, and to see, I must be seen. I must be willing to be seen if I'm to see. People ask, like, wow, how do you get such a read? How do you know so much about me? You just met me, or you just laid your hands on me and you know my whole life story. It's because I'll show you mine. And I'm okay with that. I've had to walk through those pathways to know that that is the path to this oneness, not being rhetoric, but being a living, breathing, experiential principle that is alive in every fiber of my being, seen and unseen. So these people were attracting to the seminar. Some of them are on a casual journey of, hey, I'd like to get better at side posture. And I see the way you guys do it. It looks amazing. It looks so dang easy, right? And or to the people who really want to discover who they are, why they're here, what they're made of. And we have a tried and true path to help people do that. And for some people, they leave with better footwork, and that's a win, right? As long as I'm unattached to what it looks like for anybody, just like in practice, I'm unattached to whether your pain goes away, whether you feel better, you feel worse. I do my best. I'm really, really good at clearing the neurospinal system. And I get that the law and the way, the nature of it, what happens after that is none of my business. But how it happens, I'm very responsible for. And so at MLS, we take the integrity piece as a fundamental foundation, and then we take the realm of peace. Peace. Uh, Very much a cornerstone of how we do what we do.
Beautifully said. Thank you for that. And what this is really great for is for students to connect and to really just connect with themselves through the words that you're sharing. Like, I was talking with a student earlier today who said that just listening to one of these little 3 or 5 minute downloads of really just a core, clear essence of chiropractic has helped her refocus on what she's doing in school. And one thing she shared with me, I want to share with you, it's actually really just building on what you just shared, but it's that when you go into chiropractic school, right from the get-go, you are being asked to find yourself within the field. And if she would have gone to physical therapy school or into medical school, she thinks that it would have been more objective. The path would have already been created for her, and that she wouldn't have to find herself within the field because the field has already found itself. And I told her, well, our field has found itself, but there's lots of distractions and there's lots of stimuli that might not be congruent with the field as it's grown and evolved from the roots. So I just am curious, as someone who's worked with tons of students through the years and encounters students who are going through these inner journeys of being in chiropractic school with limited experience, and you're blowing open their imagination for how this can look and how this can feel, and giving them permission, really. I'm just wondering if you can kind of take some of my words and speak to these students who are just entering the program or in the program for a while now and really trying to find themselves, have lots of conflicting views being shared in different classrooms from different teachers, and really just trying to encourage them to keep going.
Yes. Important. Well, I think the diagnosis and treatment model, they have found themselves, right? They're really, I want to say they're good at it, but I don't think they're actually very good at it. But if your goal and aim is to, hey, you feel this and you don't want to feel this, we'll do this. It's pretty simple, right? The allopathic model is really quite simple. It doesn't take a lot of leadership. It doesn't take a lot of deep introspection or thought. It's, I got this pain. Well, here, take this, it'll go away. And then we high five, because that is what we have conditioned ourselves into saying is success. So you don't really got to do, in my opinion, a lot of the self-mastery stuff to find out how tall you are and become a leader for people to realize that they're their own leaders, that there is this organizing intelligence that they can become in harmony with and have obedience with. So absolutely true that that path is laid out. Now here's chiropractic, right? Which, let's be very clear, chiropractic came from spirit. Okay, so we can go back to the roots and talk about D.D. Palmer and where he received the principles and how he organized them and how it all was this perfect synchronicity and serendipity leading up to a profession that is called chiropractic. But yet the principle and the application of the principle was happening for thousands of years before D.D. Palmer ever came along. But it's from spirit. And now here's the rub that is very common with students is the conditioned mind wants certainty. Now, my top thing, like the number one answer that or not an answer, or dialogue I will offer around what you just said is, please, I invite you and I give you permission, make good, close friends with uncertainty. Make friends with it, or else you will suffer. There's a difference between certainty and clarity. We always seek for more and more clarity. And that's why what day, Ben, I am so comfortable with. If you talk to me in a week, I'll be like, oh yeah, that thing I said last week. No, I've refreshed it. I got a deeper understanding. I got more clarity around that point, and I think about it differently. My paradigm has shifted again. If I have certainty about something, that doesn't leave room for deeper and deeper paradigm shifts, downloads, awakenings, enlightenments, whatever you want to call it. So make great friends with uncertainty. Here's the rub as well. Is yes, you will get the conflicting thing. If you ask 100 chiropractors, what is chiropractic? You're going to get 100 different answers. I love that. I support that, and I love it. Now, the 33 principles are the 33 principles. The major premise is the major premise, right? These are immutable truths, all. And what will free a chiropractor in practice and in life is speak immutable truths, which means you are conveying law, which is merely reminding people, not even necessarily teaching people, but reminding them what their highest, truest essence already knows. Because the intelligence is infinite. It permeates everything. Conditioning is deep and needs to be worked through if they are to be set free. What's going to happen is these students are going to borrow an enormous amount of money in a curriculum in a school system that has them thinking that they're there to be the best diagnosticians and clinicians that they can possibly be. And newsflash and spoiler alert, it's not chiropractic. It's just not. And so that's a head trip right there. And then they're going to get into practice. And here's someone like me is going to tell them, yeah, that stuff, I get it. You had to learn that to pass boards and become licensed. But now, as my teacher, Pasquale Cerasoli, said, let it be a blur, right? Because I ain't doing gynecology. I'm not going to diagnose your whatever, your skin condition, your lung condition, kind of thing. I have a role to play through the application of the philosophy, art, and science of chiropractic. And that's the one I choose. And that's one I love. That's one that fills me up with joy. But when people come into their practice, they're going to leave their office with exactly what they walked in with, minus 50 to $100, right? That's a real trip for a lot of people out there who can get swept up in the current of the mainstream. And now, next thing you know, they got walls and walls of products in their office. And as long as they leave with a little bag full of something, then I can wrap my head around, charging them money, et cetera, because the principle alone is just not enough. If you go to Dynamic Essentials, there's a big old banner that's been there forever. Nothing is bigger than life. And so all the other stuff, as good as it is, it's not chiropractic. And I would invite and give permission to lean into that and watch people's lives change. But the confusion that is created with doing both, trying to have it both ways, of setting them free with the principle and the philosophy in a congruent application of the philosophy and science, and treating their symptoms and giving them a therapeutic model, it's confusing, and it won't truly set the chiropractor free, and it won't truly set the person free, because you're giving them mixed messages and they cannot anchor to it, right? They can't anchor to an unanchored mind. So I'm pretty clear about how I wish that chiropractors were practicing out there. And it's so fun. It's so fun, and it's so valuable that people will pay you handsomely when you get really good at it. And then you refer them to everybody else who does all the other good stuff. I refer so many people to the vitamin shop at the nutrition store down the street. Guess what they do in return? Refer to me. And for the person who does massage, I refer. For the person who does the acupuncture, I refer to them. For the person who does foot baths and I'm like, yeah, these people are amazing. Go check them out. They're great at what they do. Chiropractic, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. And that's a lane to stay in.
I love it. I love it. And the system, shall we call it, is structured in a way that really the people in the system are working together. We're talking about a school system. We're talking about a chiropractic educational system.
Uh-huh.
So the people are there to help. They genuinely do care about students, but time goes by and maybe they lose some of that luster that they had when they first started teaching. This same student was also complaining that students don't want to learn from masters anymore, and that they're reliant on other students to teach them what it is that they're going to find out on this path. And I found that like a really interesting comment. And you mentioned Pasquale Sarasoli, and I would love for you to touch on him and his gift. Let's face it, we're modern chiropractors. We live in 2023. We practice. We're aware of how the world's changing. We're aware of how the world has shifted, how it continues to shift. And being a modern chiropractor, wanting to carry the torch and remain honoring of people such as Arno, of Pasquale, and also just honoring the student who's a modern student, and what their needs are and what their values are. And just building that bridge, I think, is where this conversation needs to be, to really reach them on a deeper, applicable, practical kind of level, potentially. I'm just wondering if you have any words to share around anything that I just shared there.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of bridge I'm about to build, or not right now, because honestly, I know exactly what you're talking about, and really, I don't have a lot of room in my life for those students. Arno always told us from the get-go, I am not interested in training the masses. I want to train the people who want to be extraordinary. I want to train people who want to be the best of what they are. I am not interested. You follow? So we are the minority, and I get it. And so there's a real lack in poverty consciousness with that, well, I'll mooch off the student who invest themselves and get them to teach me. I like, knock yourself out, you know. But how you do anything is how you do everything. And you know what? I hope the public knows when they have a choice between chiropractor A or chiropractor B, they know which one truly invested in them and they get it. And the word is out on the street. And then the one who tried to skate by and just tried to, like, just dabble a little bit here and there, that they know the difference. And, so that ain't a bridge. I'm sorry. But we seek to train the people who want to be extraordinary. And that is a minority, and it probably always will be. There's that 80-20 rule and all that stuff. Is it me wanting to honor Arno and honor Pasquale? Said that, I kind of felt it. And it's different than that. It's honoring the gift that they gave me. And it's the gift that was given to Didi. And it was the gift that was given to humanity. And it was the gift. It's honoring God, Ben. And it's honoring my life. It's honoring this gift of life that I've been given. So it's bigger than them. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than chiropractic. It's bigger than everything, right? What we say, nothing is bigger than life. And what created life? Let's ponder that a while, everybody. And so that's what it's honoring. That's what, what is your message? My life is my message. And you could see the exemplary way in which he, right, his teachers, his forefathers, and his God, by the way he conducted his life. And so, invest. Boldness is rewarded. And I totally get it. The lack consciousness and poverty consciousness is conditioned into us. It was conditioned into me. Arno worked. I've had to spend so much money on coaches helping to root out the poverty consciousness or the lack consciousness and subconscious belief systems that I took on as a little kid, needing to cope with the stress, seeing the stuff around me. It's real. So I have empathy and compassion. Please don't get me wrong, all of you students who are listening and doing that. But I'll tell you, there is something happens, because here's the deal. For the rest of your life, you're going to ask people to commit. You're going to ask people to pay money and energy exchange for your service. And if you're not willing to commit, that is a very faulty and unstable foundation. There's nothing to stand on. But when you do it for you, they can anchor to that. And there's a congruency and authenticity that comes along with this. So I invite you, just try it out. However small in the beginning, find something that resonates with you, invest in it, and then put it to use and watch the magic happen in your body, in your life, as your field resonates different.
Beautiful message. Beautiful message. Yeah. So where's MLS at as far as its offerings? What's coming up in the upcoming year? What's the infrastructure like to support students? Because I would really love to connect students, every student, to MLS as early and often as possible. But it can't work like that unless it's available virtually, shall we say, which is why we're here. But I'm just wondering if you could kind of unpack where things are at and where they're going, what the intentions are of how to continue supporting students and practicing chiropractors.
Yeah, and thank you, Ben, for always being a champion. And I know MLS has contributed to your life and practice greatly, and as well as it has. And so, on one hand, it works. The path that Arno laid out for us, it works so well. And now we have a team in the States, Europe, Canada, who know how to roll it out and have it be impactful in people's lives. I won't say most, many of the campuses have official clubs on campus, whether that's the Life West, Cleveland is starting to kind of come on board, but Palmer and Davenport and Sherman, a lot of these campuses have their clubs going, and we're putting out more and more content. Hopefully you've noticed that we've got some cool stuff coming through on the MLS channels. And in April, keep your heads up for some cool stuff coming out. I don't want to let it all out right now, but some very exciting stuff, Ben. Yes, online type of stuff to stay plugged in. We're gonna broaden our reach with that, but the main thing is doing what we're already doing impeccably and masterfully, because it works so well. And yes, looking how do we evolve it, and how do we let people access it even more. We just now started CEs. So our US offerings are now approved for CEs, which, Arno always shied away from because of what I said earlier. His concern was that it would attract docs who wanted to be out in the hall drinking coffee and shooting the breeze all weekend just to get some credits, and he was not interested in that. But I feel we're so clear on who we are and what we're looking to do with who, that we'll be able to navigate that and really attract a lot of the docs who are ready for this type of training.
When I used to attend MLS seminars regularly as a student, there would be a comment towards the end of the seminar that we're going to share a full training regimen that you can take and practice for yourself.
Yeah.
Can you maybe just speak to what needs to take place for students in between seminars to create some continuity where they're able to attend a seminar, and then maybe this is just a little conversation you're having with students that have been to the seminar on how to remain connected, how to stay inspired and aware, and remain present with themselves, because it can get lost in translation when they go back to school on Monday morning.
For sure. After the program, they do get invited to the clubs, the trainings, which are crucial. After my first MLS seminar, and then I went to the week-long camp, I knew, I was like, oh my God, we have to do this, because when's the next one? The next one is in, 6 months or 4 months, and it's over there. I was flying, and just to back up on the maybe lack of compassion for the students trying to just, get it off of other students. I can't really relate, because I did everything. I did every workshop, every seminar, every training, every camp, everything. I worked 3 jobs. I was the president of the Network Spinal Club. I was the president of the MLS Club. I was the president of the Life Outreach Mission Program, where we did local mission trips. And I was on the Gentempo and Kid On Purpose Club. President of 3 freaking clubs. I worked jobs, and I was an officer in another club, and I threw the most kick-ass parties on the whole campus as well. Balance, right, Ben? And so I can't relate. I can't relate to any student who bitches and moans about the curriculum. I had a ball. I had a ball in school, and our accreditation got yanked halfway through my schooling. Halfway through, they said, you're no longer accredited. Like, give me your problems, students. Come on. I'm not.
No, I'm right there with you. And just to kind of build on that, or just jump off of that, I would sit in class and I would just be writing in an inspired way. I'd be like, oh, what did the teacher say? I was just so on fire for this gift that was given to me, the opportunity that I had. I was also president of the network club, like organizing the MLS groups as they were. We didn't have an MLS club at the time. And yeah, they would give tours of the school, and I would run up to the students. I wasn't working on the tours, but I'd run up and just be like, this school's, going to expose you to a lot. Just remain connected to who you are, but it's going to really it's going to be very resourceful. So, anyway.
And you're still doing it because it's who you are. Yeah. It's in you.
Right.
And look at you. You're still doing it right now, spreading the fire, spreading the passion. And, we do see it, that the casual passerbys kind of say, well, that sounds neat. There's something there for me. And the people who buy the ticket and take the ride, many of them, it is a totally different ballgame now for them. They're like, and the letters we get and the testimonials we get of, I am so grateful. And then whoever it was that turned them on to us is like forever. Their home is open. They have always got a meal, a ride from the airport because of what how it changed their life to be exposed to this, because it lit that thing that's in you and I, in them, which is just beautiful. It's a beautiful passion.
And can you attest, having worked with students that are like, I'm going to be an upper cervical specific, or I'm interested in network, or I'm going the applied kinesiology route, that regardless of what path people are on, if they attend an MLS seminar and they come in contact with the refinement and the
Yep.
specificity, the tease out the layers and the
Mm.
nuance, that they're really
Mm.
appreciating more and more and more chiropractic,
Yep.
regardless. Yeah.
Well,
Because
the Paris, France program was upper cervical heavy, and it was occiput lift, toggle, and those were the main upper cervical things that, stuff that you won't learn in school. How do you address an anterior cervical or anterior atlas supine? Right? It's just like I haven't seen it taught anywhere except for MLS. I hope it is, and I'm sure it is. But it was upper cervical heavy, and that's at level 2 MLS. And so my favorite thing to say now is our trainings give your adjustments superpowers. It doesn't matter the technique, because we are going to develop a level of depth in you, your presence, and your state of being, and how you become a master of that, and how you manage your state and bring that resonance into the situation first and foremost, before you got any business touching anybody with any technique. And then the ritual in which we learn to listen to the system, that, you know, someone could receive a Thompson drop technique adjustment from, one person, and then somebody who's really dedicated themselves to the MLS approach to adjusting, and there's a massive difference. And I really am confident that if we could hook them up to biofeedback markers all over the place, you would see on every, biofeedback marker a remarkable results driven difference in the approach and the mastery of which that Thompson technique adjustment was delivered. 100%. Maybe that's a thought for funding a research project here sometime.
yeah, no, I'm here for all that. I'm all about innovation right now, and trying to bring to life new ideas. Do you have any new questions that have emerged just after Paris right now? Some maybe new questions for the profession, new questions for students, new questions for chiropractors. And I say new questions because it seems to me like we've gotten really good at asking the
Mhm.
same questions, and
Mhm.
those are important
Mhm.
questions. I'm
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
downplaying the significance, but I always get really excited when I hear about new questions emerging with new
Mhm.
awarenesses.
I love it, and thank you for asking not just me but everybody that same question, Ben. I think what I am uniquely positioned for and gifted at bringing forth is perhaps the question, "What are you afraid of?" And what we consistently see is people want to have it both ways, and that's the fear, wanting to have it both ways. So I am very comfortable with pointing out the elephant in the room, and then, hey, let's let's check it out. Hell, let's name it, right? If we are going to eat it, one bite at a time, let's at least name the dang thing. That'd be humane, maybe. But it is the wow, when I see you adjust, it's just so effortless and so deep and powerful, yet gentle and honoring. And it looks so easy and all this stuff. And the force, oh my God, never felt anything like that as it moved through my whole system and being. And we train this, we drill this, Ben, on force applications, from the lightest of, network BGI touches to the deepest of toggles and everything in between. And it doesn't happen by accident. And if we want to give lip service to these things like becoming a hollow bone, being an instrument for a higher power to move through us, to become, as Pascal would say, ground zero and allow the force to move through us, you got to let go. You can't have it both ways. You can't hang on and be letting go at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So we will as much as you want to. Nobody's forced to do anything. but we provide a very safe container at our programs to see how much you're willing to let go in order to feel, because it's scary for people. It scares the shit out of people. And we know how to hold your hand through that process and do that. What's the big fear? I think that's just part of it. It is the letting go, Ben. And then if I let go and let this amazing infinite power run through me, right? Because then there's the conditioned fear that happens in school mainly. Will I hurt somebody? Let's talk about it. Let's put it on the table, right? And so we unpack that kind of stuff, and it really liberates people, and it is the elephant in the room. And so that's the question that I think I'm asking more and more. It's not a new question, but it's one I'm asking more and more and just hitting it between the eyes. Hey, who's afraid of this? And just, when two people raise their hand, and then five, and then six, and then 10, and then 12, and then it's like, okay, come on, let's get real. Everybody raises their hand. And it's like, yeah, I'm scared of that. And it's like, great. Thank you for, let's just be real. Let's unpack it and let's see where we can go with this. Right. Because if we're always doing this to it, we'll never get anywhere. We'll never get anywhere. So I'm willing to go there with people.
Mm-hmm. A quick shout out from a student in my class who was in your practice, and then he decided to go to Sherman, and then he transferred to Life West, and his name escapes me, but he wanted to send his regards.
All right.
And he wanted me to ask you about your first practice. He said it had some unique stories attached to it. Obviously, all of us have unique stories, or just some interesting insights that I guess you shared with him that touched him deeply once upon a time. I don't know if you want to reflect on how you came out and the narrative arc of how you came out and how that's transformed over time to where you're at today.
Okay. Well, I can reflect and see which story of the magic carpet ride is laying now. I'll just reflect on spirit again. There's no logical explanation why I ended up 3,000 miles away from home in a town of 4,500 people, not knowing anybody. That makes no logical sense whatsoever. No practice management, no business consultant would ever recommend doing that. And yet that's exactly what I was called to do. The serendipity and synchronicity that opened up for that to happen in my life is, you can't explain it. You can't make it up. And I opened my first practice with $0. So no capital, no loan, no nothing. And I like to share that with students, especially who think that you have to go take out a huge loan after taking out a huge loan for school to go start practice. It's just simply not true. There are, like, you make it up, you invent it. There's that many infinite possibilities in which to open a practice, and mine looked the way it did. And it was, I was in Sun Valley, Idaho. This place is a special place at 6,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains, and I was doing pretty much only network, SRI at the time, and in 7-8 months, I had enough clientele and revenue that I could go rent my own space. And it was the Cafe of Life model that Arno gave to us, and super fun and deep. And I became Tony Robbins' personal chiropractor while I was out there, and what a trip and what a ride that was for a while. And ended up selling that practice and moving back to Marietta, where I was born and raised, and started a family here. And we're still here. So I could tell lots of stories about Sun Valley, but a valuable one to just say I opened with $0, and so can you if you want to. It's whatever you want to do.
And maybe just touch on the culture and camaraderie of chiropractic. Someone I've connected with, Josh Siegel, said he was side by side with you back in the day, in the early days. And just maybe talk about the relationships that you cultivate when you're in the process of going through chiropractic school, and how they become almost lifelong relationships, in person, in spirit. Maybe just kind of share what your view of the culture of chiropractic is, as you've been able to enjoy it and experience it as somebody who's obviously deeply committed.
Yes. Another great question. And brother Josh, hello, hello, my brother from another. And yeah, we formed deep and last, and really with those students who committed to the seminars, the camps, the new beginnings, the DEs, and we used to somehow Life University gave me the keys to our rugby team van and let me take a van full of us hooligans up to Jersey to go to New Beginnings. Lou Corletto used to pay for our gas and our hotel rooms. And, you know, those are the bonds that as we're finding out who the hell we are and all this stuff. And I'll touch also on that becomes your family, your spiritual family. And what a lot of people have a tough time with as they do start to grow in their true essence, that they even realize that some people like Josh Siegel to me can even be closer and more dear than blood family. And there's a difference between your spiritual family and blood family. Also, doesn't mean blood family can't be your spiritual family as well. But as you grow into your true essence, you will lose friends. You will, here comes the letting go piece again. And it's painful, but it's just part of it. It's going to happen. You'll lose friends. And let's talk about the consciousness of chiropractic. And when my current space and office that I'm in now, my realtor was looking for a space. I was 3 miles down the road, and he said, "Hey, there's a office for lease right here. But I got to tell you that there's another chiropractor right next door. Like the wall shared between is another chiropractor." I say, "Well, listen, don't put them on my list just yet. Let me go meet them." And I happened to be in the neighborhood with my wife and my daughter. She was probably only about 1 year old or less. And I walk in, and it's a fella, and he's wrapping up with someone, and I just needed to check the energy. And when I went in and they left, I said, "Hey, my name's Wade. I'm a chiropractor. I practice 3 miles down the road, but I'm looking to move. And this office next door is for I couldn't even get that out of my mouth before he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "Welcome to the team." And he throws his arms open and he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, that's it. That's abundance consciousness. That's in alignment with the principle. That's in alignment with the law of infinite variety, the law of abundance. And see, so this guy got it. But unfortunately, Ben, the conditioning of most of our profession has had us be like, no. And that's lack consciousness. And we're all susceptible. All of us have been conditioned with that. And we have to. So here's where we stay plugged in to where, hey, plug in with Ben. Ben's got people he's interviewing. There's going to be something you hear. There's going to be that 3-minute clip that student heard to, okay, there's my true north. I got to stay plugged in because the hypnosis and the current of the mainstream is so damn strong. It'll sweep any of us up. Any of us up. Okay. Okay. Maybe not Sadhguru, maybe not His Holiness the Dalai Lama, maybe not. You know, there's maybe a handful of people that it can't touch, right? But the rest of us, we got to stay plugged in. So I want to speak to that as the collective consciousness of chiropractic, the camaraderie. If we all were in that abundant, what leadership would that be for our community to help dispel the fear and to maybe realize a purpose that we could adopt to empower people to trust in life, to trust in themselves, to trust in their neighbor, allowing for freedom and abundance in health, life, and healing? What would that be like if we could all lead by that example? So that's a little bit on chiropractic.
Lead by example. Lead by example. Is I want to be honoring of your time. How are we doing as far? Do you have another 5-10 minutes for me?
Yeah, man, we're good.
All right, sweet. Lead by example. One of the experiential invitations that I'm proposing that students enter into this process of leading by example, but doing so in an intentional way to reach other students that are looking, and their eyes are open and their ears are open and their hearts are open, and they just need a sign. They just need a message. And so for you to show up and be that sign or that message that, hey, You know, I'm vibrating in this way, I'm vibrating in this frequency. If you want to come play, I'm over here, you know. And in this context, I'm talking about pre-chiropractic. I think it's going to be looked at as this new thing in every environment that it enters into, and students will have a labeling, so to speak, that is placed on them. They don't have to choose to buy into that label, but nevertheless, they'll be representing chiropractic in an environment where it doesn't really have a presence. So as far as leading by example, as far as working on your true north, how can we create maybe some structure or some encouragement for a student who we're witnessing them step into this growth role of growing a pre-chiropractic club or growing the presence of chiropractic on their college or high school campus, and we want to be honoring that, hey, this person has their own way of doing it, and they're unique, like you said, the law of infinite variability or infinite variety. Can you maybe just kind of connect with that individual and just have a heart-to-heart with them, and maybe offer them any support or guidance, just knowing that they've gotten to this place where they've gone deep. They've gone pretty deep. This is months later after having gone deep into chiropractic and been adjusted and observed a practice and observed the principle in action. How can we support these people?
All right. First thing that comes is be careful of the templates that you've taken on what it should look like. And everybody has a very unique design. And so if not everybody is designed to be the president of the club, right? Because what about the vice president? What about the bookkeeper? What about the secretary? What about the marketer? What about it takes a village, right? Let's lean into that cliche that we often toss around. It takes a village. What that is really implying for us is everybody has their role. It doesn't say it takes a million chiefs. It takes a village. And yes, the village typically has a chief, a shaman, a medicine woman, a farmer, someone who does this, repairs this, a blacksmith. Everybody gets to share their unique potential. Now, understand what your gifts are and explore them and cultivate them and nourish them. And for those that are having the call, leadership looks a lot of different ways. Some people are the quietest. They say literally 2 words to every one of my 1,000 or 10,000, but yet they're just as profound of a leader, if not more, than I am. So I just want to let that soak in a moment. Be careful of the template. Even if your parents, preachers, and teachers told you what they wanted it to look like for you, so sorry, but that just might be their conditioning. So accept that you have a unique design, start to get to know what that is and embrace it and love yourself. The skills that get developed by starting a club or taking over the running of a club in whatever role are the exact same skill sets that you will need to run a successful practice. So for those students that, let's just say MLS, because we help mentor and we have a whole student mentorship program for the campus clubs. We have a manual and we have structure for it, and they've all got their Insta pages and they've all got meetings that they do, and then they have Zoom call. We had a Zoom call last night with me with the Life West MLS club, and we're feeding them the structure and the support and the mentorship. And we're seeing that these students who choose to take that role or a role on in the club, their practice kind of boots on the ground, hitting it running, because they just did this. They basically did it. And part of growing and sustaining a club is enrolling people. And that's what you were doing naturally, Ben, when you would see, hey, there's an opportunity. I can go talk chiropractic. These are prospective students that are coming. If I can drop something in there and connect with them to have them come on and join the team, that's abundance consciousness. That's, we need more chiropractors. The future of chiropractic is in jeopardy and peril. There are people conspiring right now to destroy chiropractic, and they have been, and they've been doing a damn good job of it. So let's get active. There's that piece of being active. And then the second one that I want to say is collaborations. And man, how many times have I tried to reinvent the damn wheel? And I just wish that I was better at collaborating from the get-go. So what you're offering through pre-Cairo and what the MLS clubs are offering, and then what the BGI club is offering, and then the thing is like, but that's one of my core values is community and collaboration. It's one of my very high core values. That's why I threw the best parties at life when I was there, because I wanted everybody to come. I invited everybody. We had people from all walks that normally wouldn't talk to each other on campus. They were all at the party, right? Because we were exercising that core value of collaboration and connection. Um, but we don't have to reinvent the wheel. And if you realize that you're not in competition with anybody, then the incidence of collaborating goes much higher, and then I think we can get more powerful stuff done with supporting pre-Cairo. Pre-Cairo wins. Let me tell you this story. It is about old timer way back when who grew the best prize corn, and he won the award every year for the best corn. And now one time an came by and interviewed the old man who grew the prize corn. He's like, "Hey, I got to know, like, what's your secret to growing the sweetest and best prize corn every year?" He says, "I share my best seed corn with my neighbors." Huh? Wait a minute. Why would you do that if you know you're going to be in competition with them every year for the best corn? He says, "You understand the law, don't you?" He says, "The wind is going to blow the pollen from their field to mine, and from mine to theirs. If I want the best damn corn in the world, my neighbor's got to have the best damn corn in the world. You understand? That's the law of it." And so, such as life. If we want to be happy, we better help enrich the lives of other people and help them be happy. If we want this, we better help our neighbors do that, right? You want to follow the book or the bird? I follow the bird.
It's been real, my friend. I really appreciate the depth and bringing more and more life to MLS is one of my calling. I mean, I love MLS. It's yes, it's my tribe. So, students, this is it. There's not much more to share as far as where we're at, where we're coming from, or
Yeah.
where Wade's at. And if you want to learn more, there's probably a club on your campus. And sweet, like you said, if pre-Cairo wins, MLS wins, chiropractic wins.
That's it. Thanks
It.
for all you're doing, Ben. I love it, man.
Yeah, do you have any sort of interesting creative thoughts on pre-chiropractic? Just having it be relatively new and emerging, in my personal opinion.
I'm going to scratch the surface more. I'm going to dig in, and I want you to know that the communication lines are open. At 2:00 in the morning, shoot me a message. Hey, I'm bouncing. I got this thing I'm jamming on. I'll jam out with you. I just know where your heart is and soul is, and I support it, and I'm behind it, and we're brothers in arms here in the light.